Hi, Robin. Everybody enjoying the heat?
Well, I hope it's not going to be this way all summer.
Yeah. What happened to June?
Coming back on Saturday, it says
Good.
high of 70 forecast.
I'm going to a bat mitzvah outside. I hope it's not hot.
Hard to think of having to wear a sweater.
Yeah. Well, we've had every kind of weather in the last 2 weeks.
Right.
All righty.
Ed, you're on mute if it matters.
How did we, sorry, and apologies if I should know this, but how did we find the Low Impact Development Center?
I think that was Julie.
Okay.
And Neil was one of the speakers at one of our earlier meetings. I don't know if you remember.
I think I missed that one.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, Jan.
Hello, how are you guys?
Hey, Jan.
How are you?
Good.
You guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Julie A. Right.
Cool.
First,
All right,
first
that's another
time
count.
this time.
I
Yeah,
know, it's
That's progress.
freaky, right?
Right
I
to her
know,
picture.
I know.
She goes right to her picture.
I haven't learned how to do that yet.
I know, me neither. I don't know how to do a picture.
First, I gotta take a picture, I guess, right?
But you can upload it on your profile and just take any, whatever you use for other social media or whatever you use
Yeah,
for
right,
anything.
right, yeah. I have to find somebody I like who they look better.
Yeah,
Or a younger version.
there you go. Right, the 10-year-old picture.
You just hit stop video, though your name will appear instead of your face.
Yeah, no, I do realize that.
Take a moment. Okay.
Has it been a month since our last meeting? It went really fast, or is it only 3 weeks?
No, because we had to do the last meeting so that we could
Yes,
have a
for the
record
timing, yeah.
the
Oh, right, yeah.
council. So that, yeah, so that's right.
Yeah, no, the time is going, yes, feels very condensed.
It is. It's very condensed. I don't know in terms of next month. I haven't looked at what things we might have to do and what, other people's schedules we might have to follow, but I'll try to take it. Hopefully we'll have more time in between. At least it's nice because it's on Zoom if people go on vacation.
It really is, yeah.
Just have to have a place with good internet, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, we
That means
rented
a
an
nice
Airbnb.
vacation spot, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be in Maine and Nantucket. The
That
end of
sounds nice.
July, so I'm not sure about that. But
Yeah. No, I rented an Airbnb and then turned out I had meetings I couldn't miss. And then we actually had to cancel it because it wasn't going to have good internet and it had 0 cell service. You couldn't do a hotspot. So like, so we had to cancel, book a different place. So.
yeah, that's the first thing Bob
Yeah.
asked me is what's the internet like when we book?
Right. Well, no, they said it was okay, but then it didn't occur to me that they wouldn't have cell service. I'm like,
Right.
oh. I'm too urban.
I remember when cell phones were first coming into existence, people were using them regularly, being up in Cape Cod, and David, my husband, couldn't get any service, standing on picnic tables everywhere. all the crazy things that we used to do so he could try to call in to something. I'm sure you guys all did that.
Yeah, I remember a vacation in West Virginia when we had to go to that dam overlook, and I mean, it was a dam overlook.
Oh,
It was
no.
the only place that had cell service.
You don't want to get
Hurl
excited in your phone
yourself
call,
forward.
right?
Yeah, I spent a week on Martha's Vineyard, a 2-week vacation, sitting outside the pizza place in Edgartown because they were the only ones who had Wi-Fi at the time. This was a while back.
No, I know, yeah.
2008 that I could use, and then I finally gave up and just took a flight home. It was just
Oh my gosh, you didn't even finish your vacation.
Straight from the pizza
no,
place. huh?
no. It just was bad timing. I had this massive deal I was working on, and I was going, and so I got to just get out of here. It was more stressful being on Martha's
Mhm.
Vineyard.
So, we have all the committee. I'm just seeing.
Let's
some-
see, I don't think Michael's here yet. Julie is here.
You're both
Both
Julies.
Julies.
Susanna,
Susanna, right? We need Susanna and Michael, right?
Michael. Okay.
Are we 8 people total? Are we 1, 2, 3, 4,
9.
5, 6? Oh, yeah, 8. So we're just. There's
Uh,
Michael.
I'll wait a couple more minutes, but I think we'll start soon. Let me text. Well, I don't have.
I could text,
Susanna?
let's see,
Do I have hers?
Michael.
Michael's
and-
here.
Michael's here.
Oh, Michael's here. So does someone have Susanna? I might have.
I
her.
do. I have her email. I'll email her.
Okay, why don't, while we're doing that, why don't we get started? I'll just call the roll call and then maybe she'll be on by the time we get to her. Jan,
Here.
Ryan,
Present.
is Brian here? Yes. okay.
Yes, I'm here.
I'm sorry.
He's just leaning back. He looks chill.
Julie and Julie,
Here, here. Here.
yes, Haya, Ed, and we're only person listening is Susanna. Okay, let's start.
I can text Susanna.
I just emailed, yeah, but if you could
I
text
can
her.
text her. I can text her.
Great.
Okay, perfect. And hopefully, I didn't even look to see who was on the link. Hopefully, the town updated the link with her on it. That's the only thing I'm wondering about. If someone could just check that last email, make sure she was on it. Okay, let's get started. One of the things I wanted to kind of talk about before we get started, and we're going to do a few different things, but we're going to start with this proposal that we have from the low impact information. Is that what it is? What's the name of that company? Julie, help me.
Center for Low Impact Development.
Thank you. And just to take everybody back, the reason we put out an RFP, and we actually solicited from 2 organizations, did not hear back for some reason from the other one, was because there's a lot of things that the committee can do. We can do a lot of research, we can educate ourselves, we can, talk to other people and call other adjoining communities. But one of the things I felt, and I think other people felt, that we were handicapped is we don't have the actual expertise when it comes to how you would best use your resources and how you would target the actual properties, public or private, within the town where you would have the most impact if you were able to put in some kind of infrastructure or some kind of guidance or whatever. We're not engineers. This is, I go out in the rain and I photograph and I talk to people and I study it, but I could not recommend, and I certainly would not, as homeowners have been asking for some help and some guidance, don't feel qualified to answer a lot of their questions. So the idea was that we would find someone that this is what they do for a living. They have the expertise. They could help us develop a plan for the overall town that we would, hopefully the town council would engage them. and that we could look at the issue of stormwater runoff on a community-wide basis and address it on a community-wide basis, even if that means if individual homeowners doing certain things on their properties, but they would understand what the whole town recommendation was, how they fit into it, what they might do on their own property, and then whether we have funds that we could do some matching funds or help them get grants, or find the areas that if it seemed to make sense and we had the funds, some kind of infrastructure would impact several people, not just one. So that's the idea of engaging these consultants. It's not to take away the things that we've been doing. I think you all been doing a great job, but it's to kind of move to the next phase. We did the research, we did the survey, we're educating ourselves now. We're at the point where to really make an impact, we're hoping that the town will take some action with this consultant, and then really address the issue seriously with concrete proposals. So that's why we're here tonight. So we did put out an RFP, and Michael was kind enough to do a summary. So Michael, can you begin with that?
Sure.
And while he's bringing it up, if I could just toss in the additional comment that the timing on this was maybe a little bit accelerated because of the indication that there might be American or the Rescue Act funding available. That this is we're trying to sort of meet the moment more expeditiously than sometimes the town committees sometimes act, because there's a special opportunity.
Exactly.
So this is just a quick summary of what Ellen sent around to everybody. This is Neil Weinstein and his LIDC, which is a nonprofit. Their scope is to prepare they want to prepare a master plan for the town, particularly related to private property and the Little Falls Branch subwatershed. They want to look at opportunities among the neighbors in private property arrangements, and they want to help guide the town as it thinks about infrastructure investments. And then they want to help create a website, a data platform for all of us to get access to and to share information about rain planning, which is very interesting and useful, I think. He's well qualified, 23 years in this world, working for towns primarily in Maryland, particularly on things that seem very parallel, some trees and infrastructure environments, and particularly a master plan for Cheverly, which I think was pretty parallel. And many of those were funded by state, local, or community grants. So it's right up our alley of what we're looking for. 4 specific deliverables. He's going to do a data review of all the stuff that we have. He's going to help create a master plan and think about private investments, public installations. Wants to do a workshop with the town council, a workshop with property owners, and 2 online neighborhood meetings. And then he wants to think about funding and financing opportunities, which would be the state and other grant opportunities, maybe the federal one, and then build this portal. He wants to do 8 weeks starting next week, ending before the town council meeting in August. And as we were chatting a little bit before we came to this meeting, this is exactly the kind of content we need. I think we just want to clarify exactly how we want to engage, or who engages this consultant. How do we coordinate with them? Who says he's doing a great job or not? So that we just are clear about how we get into access to Ellen's specific skill set. Right, we're not the engineers. This guy is, and this guy will help us. The debate is it us or is it the council? Who coordinates that work? Who says he does a good job? Who signs his checks or signs off on his work? And then how do we think about optimizing our time so we aren't repetitive or duplicative of the things that he would be focusing on?
Okay, thank you. Just off the top of my head, I think, well, we can discuss how to relate to him. Maybe the, I don't know if Steve is on here, but I saw Robin. I'm not entirely sure.
I'm here.
Oh, hi. So if we recommend this particular consultant to the town council. It would not be us and hiring them. It would be the town council. So part of what I think we need is some guidance from the town council as to what our role would be and who would be working with them, overseeing them, et cetera, because would not be the people who hired them.
Right. So, thank you very much. This is really exciting work, and although it may have been accelerated by the American Recovery Act opportunity, I think this is something that is of significant and sufficient concern to the town that the town council would likely want to proceed with it regardless of whether or not we get the funding. The funding might impact some of the options or corrective actions, but getting this type of study support is I think, a very reasonable next step after all the work the Stormwater Study Committee has done to lay the groundwork and do the initial investigations. So I'm looking at your open questions. Who would manage the work and determine its quality? So you're right. It would be I believe it would be a contract. It'd be a standard town contract, which means that the town manager, Matt Trollinger, would be the contracting officer, would be coordinating the contract and would assess whether or not the deliverables are satisfactory. But he has a lot of activities and responsibilities. So I would think that he would welcome the ongoing assistance of the Stormwater Study Committee to provide input or assessment on the deliverables. So I would hope that the Stormwater Study Committee would remain involved. The next question is, how would LIC and Stormwater Study Committee coordinate efforts? I'm not sure about coordinating efforts. I think it would be like collaboration, and then you would be informing the town manager and informing the town council, and then we would either be providing direction to the LIDC or we would be taking action based on LIDC and SSC recommendations. Does that help?
Yeah, no, it does give us some guidance. Okay. Is
Maybe I
there,
can ask, how do you think this consultant would work with the council? In detail, I mean, who's he going to work with on a day-to-day basis to get feedback on master plan, to get access to the data? I don't mean technically who's going to manage, but I mean, like, who's going to make sure you get what you want, or we get what we want through this process?
Great question, Michael. I think that if the SSC is willing and able to remain engaged, I mean, you might need to volunteer to continue serving for more than the 12 months you thought you were signing up for initially. I think you could be right there in the midst of whatever reports or recommendations or deliverables that we would receive from LIDC. I would expect that the simplest thing for the town manager to do would be to turn to the SSC to review it, accept it, provide feedback, etc. We want this to be a very collaborative effort, and it sounds like LIDC has a lot of experience, so this should all be very positive.
okay. And I think we could probably work out more of a structure with you and with Matt, if that makes some sense. Because I don't think the whole committee would have to, I mean, I think you want a smaller number of people dealing with a consultant. So I do think that that's something that we could work out between us and the council and our subcommittee, which is the committee that is kind of overseeing the proposal.
Can I ask a question? Do we still expect then that the Stormwater Committee would prepare its own report and its own set of recommendations separate from LIDC?
Yes, I think so, because this, again, this is, they are being considered so that they can help us with, if we get this money, where would we put the money, and what effort would have the greatest bang for the buck. And they will work with us because we've got the data. They'll have data. They can go look at the different properties and see what different infrastructures could be used to address them on particular pieces of property if people want this done in their yards. But we still have the demonstration projects, the resources, the trees, the rules and regulations. Those are all different. I don't see them really participating in that. We want them focused on
I agree.
changing runoff in our town, physically changing it. I mean, we can, change rules and or make recommendations for changes in codes and rules and regulations and cutting down trees and all that kind of stuff. That's not what they do. They mitigate, and that's what we need. Does that help?
Maybe. And I guess it'd be useful, assuming this goes forward, to be very clear about what LIDC's scope is and what Stormwater Committee's scope is.
Well,
So we're not stepping on each other's toes, or if we are purposely overlapping, that we have a kind of coordinated effort around those things. We don't have to agree, but we at least need to know what the other is thinking.
but their proposal isn't in response to our RFP. So we were clear in what we were looking for and what we wanted them to address. We did not put in the trees. We did not put in rules and regulations. We did not put in other things that we've been working on. I mean, we're a committee that's going to continue. We have to write a report. But
Maybe I could say something. I think you can probably work it out with the council that you would like the report, which comes to Matt Trollinger, that's true, but also to deliver to the Stormwater Committee, so that that report becomes a piece of your final report to the council. It's, in other words, it is part of your report.
right.
And that way,
Great idea, Robin.
yeah, all right.
So I have a question. So I mean, I know what we don't know, which is many things, and they do know these many things. And I think the coordination is quite doable. I mean, we can figure that out. So I'm just trying to understand in terms of what they're going to do. So it seems like they're going to provide all these possible options, but I'm not clear that doesn't mean anyone's going to take them up on it. I guess maybe this is sort of stepping back. I mean, I read through it and I read your summary, Michael, thank you. But I just want to make sure we all understand, maybe it's just me, but they're doing, there's these opportunities, but it's not clear, does that mean anyone actually does that? And then the whole dashboard, it's sort of information dashboard, like, do we need that? I guess I just want to make sure like this all makes sense to everyone else, frankly. And this is more fundamental. I'm not questioning that they're great at what they do. They clearly have the right background and specs and that kind of thing. I just want to make sure like what we get out of it. I understand that's what they're saying here, but what does that look like in reality? Just the way I read it, it's like, oh, there's opportunities for adjoining neighbors to do things, but like, what if no one does that? And who's going to use this dashboard thing? So I guess maybe these are more basic questions. If I'm missing something, just tell me.
I think they're creating a plan. Whether or not the town goes forward with the plan, that's up to the town. Whether the town receives the money to do parts of the plan, that's another factor that we don't have certainty. It's likely. So before you hire someone and give them millions of dollars to go implement, you want to see where they would spend the money and where they have done the research and talked to people. And so that's the whole point. This is just a plan.
Okay.
That's what we're hiring them for, is
Right.
a plan. And then people will look at the plan. The committee will hopefully look at the plan. The council will look at the plan and then say, well, this makes sense. This doesn't make sense. I mean, obviously, I think we'll be talking to them all along. So I don't think there'll be any big surprises. But it's, and again, you know, it's to be ahead of it. So if we get the money, and the council, you know, chooses to spend the money on portions of the plan or all of the plan, we're not trying to scramble to say, where should we put the money? It's to try and find the best uses of money that may be coming our way, which is, you know, incredibly fortunate and amazing timing on my part as the chair. But it's just a plan.
Okay, no, and so the whole, like, so I'm clear about this part. So it seems like a lot of it is on private property, but we're not going to be able to mandate to any private property, even if at the implementation stage, what happens. I think that's what's maybe confusing me, is that there's a lot of opportunities, but then, you know, if it's town property and then, you know, the plan says do this on town property, money gets approved, that happens. That's more straightforward. The private property, you know, we don't really have any say on that. That's what I'm confused about, just
Well,
broadly.
Isn't that what we've been talking about doing with respect to new construction?
Well, that's going to be code-based, right? I mean,
Right, but that's
Yeah,
how we, that's how
that's
we
in
get
our
to
purview,
tell
right,
private homeowners what to do.
right.
Well, this, I think, is something that is going to require cooperation, but I don't see, I think it's going to be opposite. I think we're going to have more people wanting the assistance than not wanting the assistance. I mean, obviously, we're not going to go, you know, take bulldozers in people's backyards, but I think, you know, given the amount of interest and concern, and a lot of people who say, you know, even that they're prepared to spend money, but they don't know what to spend money on. They don't know what's effective. They don't know.
Right.
I'm going to say, when you look at the amounts of money people have already spent, and a lot of people didn't solve their problems. So having somebody who has this expertise to go through, let's just hypothetically, the south side of Dorset, where you have 10 or 12 homes in a row that all have water flowing down the back of their yards and flooding their backyard several times a year. You know, having a plan that, and to sit down with those neighbors and say, well, here's some options, here's some things you could do, and here's some funding that might be available, or maybe there's some matching fund that besides the Rainscapes program, maybe there's some matching fund the town could use this money for. I mean, I think it can't be just a cookie cutter, and we don't
Right.
need to be. We're a small town.
Yeah, I agree
And
with
then,
you, Alan.
and the dashboard, it seems useful also. I was just curious of folks' opinion.
I just
Yeah,
used the dashboard for my property, tried a couple other properties, you know, what they've already done, just in general, that a general person can use. And it seemed easy to use, and if they can find some funding, I mean, they told me I already had maxed out on my funding because I'd gotten a rebate already and there's nothing else available. But if they can develop something like that, that's so easy to use, I think it would, plus a record keeping component along with that of what people are looking for.
Okay.
I think
So
it'd be really useful.
That's something that's not available at the state or somewhere
Yeah.
else, I guess, is my main question, I guess.
Yeah, Ellen, I agree with your point. And, you know, what's appealing, there are a lot of things that I think are appealing about this proposal, you know, including their expertise in, you know, what are the kind of mega options for us as a community as a whole? And then what are the options available to homeowners, which I assume is part of this as well. And, you know, knowing whether or not there's money available to assist the town writ large or individual homeowners and how to go get it.
Exactly. And the council.
I have another question, Ellen, just before we go, just on the scope of work, because I don't think it was mentioned in there. And just from some of the stuff that I've worked on, or in some of our discussions last week, like for instance, on the permeable pavers and, you know, what's the newest model and are people using this? I was wondering if they will work with us to provide expertise for those questions, because I just felt totally, when I went on the internet to start, you know, researching this stuff, it's not my field at all. You know, I'm getting funny stories from landscapers and stuff off Pinterest and this and that. I would like to have access to an expert who says, oh, this is the current state of the art of permeable pavers. This is the current state of the art of whatever formulas we use. This is the current, which it doesn't really fall in any of their plans, but I would like to have somebody that knows our situation and can give us the state of the art answers to our questions. And it didn't seem like that was in our proposal, in the proposal.
Julie, do you want to respond to that?
Well, I think that's sort of implicit because that is the work they do on a daily basis. That they probably didn't say we provide expert advice on green infrastructure, because that is what is their bread and butter.
Right,
Um,
but are they gonna charge us for, I mean, just from working in a consultant, I mean, I would kind of like something on the more micro level included, you know, answering, or I don't know, answering phone calls on specific questions from committee, you know, or something like that, not just, are we gonna have?
Well, we
some-
can certainly
assigned
talk to
to
them
us?
about, you know, I would say that what I was going to mention before, but it ties into this topic, is that I think checking their references, one for the town of Cheverly, which is a smaller community, it's bigger than Somerset, but smaller, it's still a town, and one for Hyattsville, which is a city. Both talking to one public works director in Cheverly and getting an email immediately back from the other public works director. Both of them were very positive, and the guy in Cheverly was super positive about the public education part of their sort of presentations, and just generally the way they work, that they are very resident friendly. They feel it's an education mission as well as a sort of a mission to install infrastructure. So I think we can stress in a response to them. I think there's some topics we should talk about with them to make sure they're part of the plan. One of them I had was maintenance. The other I had that wasn't specifically mentioned, but was in the RFP was on the issue of measuring the impact. I think we want to have somebody who comes in a year later and says, well, this is what worked and this is what didn't work. So we want to make sure that that's part of the contract. But I think also this issue of, we want to make sure that we get the sort of nitty gritty and nuts and bolts of these green infrastructure installations, because, you know, I think they understand we're a community that once we are equipped with the information, we have a lot of capacity to propel ourselves into the next phase of work. And so I think it's, you know, they'll understand why, yeah, we want to know some more, maybe more technical information than they might have assumed. So, you know, I think we should just make sure that that's explicit in a sort of response to, and make sure that they comment on that a little bit more in writing.
Yeah, I think one thing we want to do is be able to manage that, so you don't have 9 people on a committee, you know, calling. But I think already, I know that I had asked Julie something about permeable pavers a couple weeks ago, and she asked Neil, and then he sent her several examples and photos and all that. So he, you know, our experience has been that even when, you know, he's not under our contract, he's been very quick to respond and helpful.
I think that's great. I mean, and I don't think we all should call him with our little problems or this or that. I totally agree with, you know, coordinating and have one person, you know, be the contact person or something. I just know that there would be a source for us to go first to ask about technical issues and stuff. Yeah.
And I know we asked for more proposals. We only got the one. So that's, I mean, that maybe that's that. But is that any concern? Is there any requirement that we always have to get more than one or not? I don't know how the town works or anything in that regard.
The town does not have a formal procurement policy. It's an issue that we're aware of, and I think the council has it on their radar scope to address in the future. But my sense, and Robin can weigh in here, is that since you did go out with an RFP, you announced this publicly. If you only received one viable bid, that's fine.
Yeah, and you obviously think the person qualified, and so I don't think we'll have a concern if you recommend it.
Thank you.
Okay. So are there any other questions or comments or points people want to bring up?
Well,
How-
I was going to bring up one thing about the ARPA funds, which is they are extending for 2 years, which goes way beyond the term of the Stormwater Study Committee. You might want to consider wanting to extend yourself, because if we're going to use those stormwater funds, if we have stormwater funds from the ARPA funds, then you may want to stay with it while these funds are being used. The other thing is that I know the contract with the Low Impact Development Center is short term, but the funds are going to be being used over 2 years. And so we might want to think about a longer term contract with them as an advisor or as a consultant who can then help residents at some point.
Yeah. I mean, but Robin, we could do that with this as an initial, assuming everyone's extremely pleased with the plan, then there's an add-on. I mean, that's extremely common with consultants, right? So that we don't necessarily have to sign up for the ongoing advisory till the plan's done, and we probably have a better sense from how the town is responding, and we're satisfied everyone is with it, et cetera.
That's
Yeah.
one.
If I could just interject here something about the rain plan, because I think what we will want to do if we do want to consider sort of an implementation contract, is see how it interfaces with the rain plan platform that the center already has, because that is an existing strategy that allows any individual to log in, provide information on their address, and receive back a plan for installation of some green infrastructure with financing and all of the contracting arrangements provided through the center. So here we are with something that's more of a Cadillac version of this. It's on its community-wide basis. It might involve other funding streams beyond the ones that Rain Plan currently is sort of programmed to provide to the client. But I think using that, especially because they're proposing this dashboard, I think what we would want to do is talk with the center about how to do this in a way that isn't a standard implementation contract where they're, having some special procedures for Somerset. That we want to integrate it with their rain plan approach, because I think it's great, because then when they leave town and the contract is over, the rain plan platform is still there and available to us. And that's the beauty of it, that it's a continuing guide for any resident in Somerset. And as I said, sort of a Cadillac version of it.
Yeah. Julie, the way you're describing it, it sounds like if they've got it built, can't we just ride the rails they've got already and then not wire it? Like, what are we paying $5,000 for? If what we would need is what any other town would need, if it's that sort of, I don't know if it is, but.
Right
I'm just
now, Rain
wondering.
Plan is tailored to the individual private lot. It does not consider your neighbors. What they're going to be doing is taking advantage of more information than what they currently have in Rain Plan. Rain Plan is based only on what they provide to you as a proposal for your property is based on topography. That is it. They look at this. Oh, and they use soil maps. That's it. Topography, contour map, soil map. That's it. So here they're going to be able to integrate more information, and it's going to be also on a community-wide basis. So they can look at your neighboring property and assess whether you might benefit more from rain gardens surrounding you and surrounding neighboring properties and not on your property. And so and they also have an additional funding stream potentially that's not available in the standard rain plan. So, I think this is a pretty sophisticated approach that they're going to try to do to sort of meld the two. But then when it's melded, it's available to us down the road. Also, Rain Plan doesn't have the educational components and the outreach and the workshops and all that. So,
It seems like it's going to be more community-wide. It's not just going to be person by person. It's going to be looking at the big picture, literally.
Right.
And that seems really good. Yeah.
But then does it get stale? Is it like software as a service where you have to do your subscription every month, like a Netflix, to keep this thing current and
It's
fresh,
free.
or not?
No, it's a
Okay.
completely free service.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had a question. So when we talk about this, I keep forgetting the word, the thing where you can go online and look at the different options. Is that for everyone to look at, or just for like the committee? For people to look at the access to the information? I'm not saying that very well.
The dashboard, you mean?
Yeah, dashboard. That's
Oh,
the
that would be
word.
for everybody.
Okay.
Oh,
And my other question was, whatever happened to the other group? Does anyone know? I mean, I know they didn't respond, but is there anyone else who's reasonable to look at, or are we past that now?
I think we're past that, because if someone tells you that it's going to come and then it doesn't come and you email, I don't know what happened, but
Okay. No, I mean, and there's no one else, I guess. So, yeah.
we talked to a lot of different people. We did not find a lot of folks who are in this business.
right.
It may not be that lucrative. I mean, it's pretty niche.
I tell my kids, if you want a business to go into,
There you go. Climate change is new business opportunity. And the funding and financing, that's something specific they're providing that we don't have or know. I'm a little unclear what that even is. I'm not questioning it. I just don't really even understand what they're referencing here.
well, even Julie and I had a conversation with a guy at the University of Maryland, Mike, what was his name? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Part of what he does is they do look for funding. So there are people who know different pots of money that might be available for certain things. So nothing will come close to this, the federal funds that we make.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. But there's stuff, I see. Okay.
Might be some county funds or some grant funds or something. So that's just, I think that's a pretty small part of this proposal. So are we ready? Would anybody like to make a motion?
So we're motioning to propose it to the town council for approval. Is that how that works? Or?
To make it a recommendation to the town's council, and that we endorse this proposal.
Okay. No,
So
I'll
moved.
motion. Oh, okay. I guess Ellen just did it. You, okay.
I second it.
Third.
What's the actual motion? I'm the note taker, so I want to put something down.
Ellen?
The motion is that the Stormwater Study Committee strongly, endorses the proposal.
Recommends, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
We recommend that the town council approve and retain this consultant for this
Yeah,
assignment.
exactly.
For the proposal.
Impact Development Center.
And as is, basically, or are we asking for, there was some people mentioned other things I was not clear,
Yeah.
or just as is? Or Julie, you had some comments.
Well, I have three additional pieces of information I'd like them to add into the proposal about maintenance recommendations. Not that they would do the maintenance, but that they will provide some information on maintenance recommendations. And then we want them to provide a little bit of, in their workshops and everything, and especially with the property owners, and 2 online neighborhood meetings, and with us, more information on technical information on green infrastructure and installation. And then we want to have something where they plan post installation to provide us some sort of a report on what they think were the most impactful, if things are installed, this assuming there's actual implementation, to come back and tell us how did the priorities work out and were these effective?
So are you adding these? Because I mean, they may change the cost and the town council may say, so what's the exact price we're talking and for what scope, right? Because this is changing probably both.
Well, yeah, I don't think the first two are going to be an issue. We can see if this third one about some report on, their recommendations.
Because that's probably a different time frame, like it's,
Yes,
as you said here.
they'd have to come back.
Yeah, so that might be kind of modular, for X amount of dollars, we
Yeah.
will have you come back in X amount of time or something.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking the town council is going to want to know the final specific
Yeah.
price, I'm guessing.
Well, that's quite a resolution now. That's quite a motion now. The Stormwater Committee strongly recommends that the town council retain the consultants with minor changes to the proposal.
Minor suggestions, or you want to say changes?
Minor what additions?
Modifications.
Modifications, is
Yeah.
that fancier than changes? Okay, it's more syllables.
Yeah.
You're the note taker.
I'm the note taker. And I'm putting e.g. maintenance recommendations to be included, workshops with community to include tech info on green infrastructure and installation. And third, a plan for a plan to report out on
Measure.
impacts post installation.
Yeah, if things are installed. I mean, obviously they're providing a plan. They don't really know if anything's going to be installed, but if it's installed and it actually, let's say, here's a hypothetical, what I'm thinking about. They list, things in order of priority. They say, this is the most important thing your town should do. And we organize residents around that. And then they have a fifth level. This is the fifth most important thing you should do. And there's things in between. And a year later, the things are installed. We've celebrated. We've had a opening day and all. And it turns out that the one that they said was the most important just doesn't seem to be working in the first storm. And the fifth one is working great. Well, I think we want to just have somebody sort of take note and try to explain what happened and learn from the experience and not just, not take note of it is what I'm thinking. I think this is a really important field test of a whole idea. And they're going to be interested in doing this too, I think.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think
No,
I captured that, but the basic motion is that we recommend the town council retain the consultant. There may be minor modifications that should have a minimal impact on the cost.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah,
wants
yeah.
credit for the motion? Who made the motion?
I think you did.
Oh, I did?
I second and third, and whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I would just say, so I mean, I love everything Julie's saying. I would say that it might be a bit more cost, which is fine, but because this is a proposal for a plan, and because what Julie's talking about is really implementation subject to what we've implemented, I'm not sure it really. I think we absolutely will want to do it and hire this guy to do that, but given this is only a plan and not implementation, and this is evaluating something we haven't even planned to implement, that last piece may be something we just want to say, we'd like to have a ability to, get that service at most, but it's sort of 3 steps down the road, even though it's totally it's critical, if that makes sense. So.
And to nitpick, what we're just looking at now says everything's going to be done by August 6th of this year. I think we want to take the date out of, just mention that I don't know if the motion is date or not, but.
I think that the plan was that they could do this in a couple months. So I think that's what it's anticipated.
Okay, I just didn't know if we need.
Or 8 weeks from start date to finish completion or something. So 'cause, the town council has to approve it, right?
Can we go back to Julie's about because Julie Greenberg and because I agree with Julie Abrams that since this is a plan, what we want is maybe just a little bit of a plan on how we would evaluate in the future.
Okay.
So that's put in. That's all. So that would not be a costly or a very time consuming. It would be them saying, how would they
come? Okay.
So the plan aspect of how they, just include
It's not
the
actually
plan to yes.
Right, because there could be various things we purchase from them after this based on the plan, but we don't know yet.
Okay, All right.
Okay.
All right, so I think the motion has been made and seconded. Oh, back over to you, Chair Globalcar.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you all. And all right, so now I'd like to move on to just a brief little report summary of what we reconfigured some of the committees and also changed a few people's assignments. So the newly configured Resources Committee, Haya is going to be what we call the lead. Haya, could you kind of tell us what you envision for the next several weeks?
Yes, let me grab my notes here. So we had a bunch of things to look into, but we were thinking that the most important thing right now might be to start planning this, the demonstration day, because the other stuff that was about looking into, there were all these questions about like permeable pavers and stuff, but they thought that that might be covered by rain plan, by those people. And wasn't that what we were saying, Julie?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I mean, we're happy to do anything, but it just seemed like we didn't want to have to redo everything. But we were trying to get the date. So for some reason, well, I shouldn't say for some reason, but you said early fall, and we thought it's like September might not be good because people are really busy and there's the Jewish holidays and then there's just people settling in. So we said October 3rd, and then it does turn out that the Somerset Back to School Classic is that day. And we were thinking that maybe it would be good because people would be around, but as you pointed out, Ellen, it's also not, that event goes on for a little while and people might be worn out afterwards. Like they run and then they go and there's like a social event at the school and they have bagels, and I don't know, maybe it's too much to do it the same day. And I was wondering what the committee thinks about
One of the thoughts I think you should take into consideration is how some of these you don't want to do it when there's a lot of leaves on the ground.
There shouldn't be leaves on October. I mean, the leaves don't fall mostly until late. Yeah.
You want to think, when do these, when will the gardens still look attractive? Sometimes if you get too far into it, it's not the most attractive time of the year. But I don't know, how does everyone feel about having it the same day as the race?
Is that date final for the race? Because on their website, they're showing it at a different date.
They are.
I actually wrote to, I couldn't find it on their website, but I wrote to the PTA president and she told me it was that date.
Okay, that's probably accurate. This is coming from another source that says it's estimated to be the 22nd of October. Is it usually on a Sunday?
Yeah, but was that for this year? Are you sure that's this year, Brian?
For 21, yeah.
Huh.
It's almost always on Sunday.
Because the 22nd is a Friday. It wouldn't be on a Friday, but it's not usually on a Sunday, is it? I thought it was usually on a Saturday.
No, it's always on Sunday. It's always on Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah, the third, the 20, if the 3rd's a Sunday, the 22nd's not. So that
No,
might
it's
be a
not.
different
That's
year.
right. So that
That's
just
a
must be
different
off.
year.
All right. So 3rd sounds like the right date.
I mean, I'm flexible. I guess I'd say, sometimes people have other stuff in their life and they don't want to just do all, town and school stuff all day and night and afternoon, but
Well,
whichever.
what about September 26th then? The Sunday before.
Yeah, I have no trouble with that. I don't know why but yeah.
That looks good.
I think it's late enough in September that it should be, it's after all the beginning stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, can someone just, can your committee kind of check to see if there's other things going on that might conflict with-
Yeah, those aren't near high holidays or anything. I can't see.
No,
that.
holidays are earlier this year,
Okay.
apparently. You mean check right now or check?
No, I just meant in the future. We don't have to decide a date right now. And so can you kind of explain some of the things that you'll be doing in terms of preparing for this and?
Oh yeah, okay. We wanted to contact people, not just the people. So we're going to try to contact people who had projects with Rainscapes, but we also want to try to maybe contact others who might have done projects not with Rainscapes. And so we know at least about one of those. We also wanted to contact, not contact, but apparently there's a rain garden around the tennis courts, which I was unaware of. Is it a rain garden or a conservation garden? It's actually a rain garden.
So Julie,
Jan.
we talked to the Parks and Group, and Brian, maybe you know, they were saying they were for a while maintaining some kind of garden, although that's not currently happening.
I was there for the installation. It's
Oh,
very
okay.
big.
Okay,
It's big, it's maintained. I've gone over there to see it. It fills up with water, and it's a rain garden and a conservation garden.
Jen, where is it exactly?
It's all around the tennis courts, but
Oh,
the rain garden part is at the, I'm not good with directions. It's
no,
next
that's okay. It's all
I
around.
can- I can fill you- I can fill you
parking
in.
lot and the town hall. And it's beautifully landscaped, and you wouldn't know that it's a catchment area. But when it rains, it looks like a pond. And within 24 hours, it's completely gone.
Okay.
Yeah, it is on the corner of Walter Bear Way and the parking lot for the tennis courts.
Thank you, Robin.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for your precision. Okay. Wait a minute. Okay. Well, I don't know. Did we discuss anything else? I'm looking at my notes here. We just had some general, there wasn't anything else specific that we came up with, I guess. This was a preliminary meeting, but was there anything else you had questions about?
Well, there are lots of resources we are going to compile based on,
Right.
contractors and certified landscapers for rain gardens and stuff like that are already available. We'll just make sure they're super available.
Oh, you mean for that event?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
for
sorry.
a final report. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I had mentioned maybe depending on how far along the contractor is on the RFP, if they have a sample dashboard or something already done in September, they could maybe be set up somewhere and people could give their address and just see what pops up, or, different stormwater committee members could be around if people have, specific questions.
And obviously, whatever town education sessions, workshops, the center does as part of the contract there could be reinforcement in the demonstration day, and the demonstration day could be mentioned in the workshops, and everybody could see this as, really well aligned.
Yeah, I agree. I wonder too whether we could have maybe vendors and people, if we could set up at the outside of the town hall. And
I'm reluctant to do that because I think it gives, it acts almost like we're recommending people. And I just feel we should stay really far away from giving out names or having vendors, because they could have been great for somebody and then not be doing it anymore, or this or that. We talked about this in our committee meeting. There's certifications that people who do this get. There's several certifying bodies. The Rainscapes at Montgomery County has a 21-page list of people who do different things like pavers and gardens and stuff. I think I maybe have some government stuff, but I would feel uncomfortable having private vendors involved at this point.
certifications.
Yeah.
If there's a list of people who are certified, you wouldn't.
I feel uncomfortable giving names out as.
But we were also noting that Rainscapes has a huge list, so I'm not sure what we're going to give them better than them. Like
I mean, when
how
people
do
are
we
looking at
know
a garden,
better?
we could have the name when people are looking at the garden. I mean, I feel comfortable with it.
Yeah,
There being a sign there that says this garden was installed in 2015 by the company or something in that. But I feel as a committee, we shouldn't be providing names, but that's my opinion. I mean, other people can have other opinions.
Yeah, I wasn't saying that we were recommending anybody. I was just trying to think if there was a way to have people available to answer questions.
But it's almost implicit if we have private vendors there that we're recommending them. No?
It does. I take your point, and I think it's a reasonable one. I don't know. I see value in that if there are vendors who are.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but
Sorry.
I think it's a fair point,
Okay.
but I think I'd lean towards if we could have them available, having them.
Yeah, we could put a little sign that says, you know, Somerset does not endorse any vendors or something. I mean, honestly, I think Somerset people are pretty discerning. They're not gonna, just because someone's there, they're not gonna ever assume that's the one they're hiring, right? We're pretty
Right.
picky.
I think we also have to be mindful, we can't recommend and have a list of recommended. I'm just trying to think of a way because, you know, people have questions and who's going to answer the questions. That's all I'm trying to think.
Well, maybe we
Yeah.
could have some Rainscapes people there or our consultants also. I mean,
Well, we don't have to debate this
Well,
again,
yeah, we'll find out. Do that later.
but think about that. Okay.
Okay.
That it for your committee, Maya?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
That it then for your committee?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Okay, and add the rules and regulations.
Yep. So we had a good and productive meeting last night of the subcommittee, and we're off and running for daylight. So, I mean, I'd say that, thanks, Julia. I like that you acted that out. So I think that the two kind of biggest blocks of things that we're doing are, one, closely examining the other examples, when I say other than Chevy Chase, examples of town codes for towns that have adopted stormwater code provisions. And so we've identified others. There are several in this area. There's Garrett Park, which I've looked at, but it's been a while. DC, which Julie G suggested we look at. That was a good idea. There's Arlington, Virginia. And then there are others kind of around the country. There's Santa Monica and Grand Traverse County, Michigan, and then St. John River somewhere. I have no idea where that is. But so the plan is to, we've divided these up, and mostly Julie and A and I are going to be summarizing these, using as a template the summary for Chevy Chase that I prepared, and it's available on our website. And then the idea is, you know, we'll have kind of handy dandy summaries of the town code provisions that reflect how each of these different towns have approached the same problem or similar problems to what we're trying to address. And then we can take a look at those and compare them to Chevy Chase, which I think we all agree is a very helpful template. You know, recognizing we need to do investigation, and that's as to whether or not A, we like it, and B, it works for us. And that's the second big block that we're tackling. But so that first part is take a look, finish the job of getting our arms around the other codes that we have found. And then the next phase of that would be to kind of pick, once we know better what we're looking for, kind of pick and choose and see, well, we really like Chevy Chase, but Garrett Park had this neat idea and Arlington had this, and maybe we package them together, and those are part of our recommendation. Then the second piece of it, and this is really playing off of your idea, Ellen, which I think is a very good one, is to really do a pretty deep dive into Chevy Chase and how does it work? How do they manage it? What are the resources required to do it? How burdensome is it? What problems have they encountered? What might they do differently if they could make changes today to their code? And so to do a deep dive into that, and we've got principally Susanna and Michael who are going to take the lead for that in doing these interviews. And then we'll take that information, and I think that will be a good basis for us to evaluate whether what we like and don't like about the Chevy Chase approach, and B, could we adopt it, you know, and what would it take to do that, since recognizing that we're a lot smaller and don't have the resources that they do. Then there are a few other little things that we're going to do, but I think those are the two most important projects that we're undertaking. In terms of timing, Julie and I are going to try and have the rest of the code provisions summarized in the next couple of weeks. And I don't think we set a timetable for the doing the interviews of the folks in Chevy Chase, but that's a big project. And I assume they're going to have to talk to, you know, a fair number of people and then write up their reports. So, you know, all deliver at speed.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Speaking of code, I don't want to put anybody on spot, but I don't know if our two council members are still on, if anybody wants to give an update on the last council meeting where they looked at possibly changing the code.
Well, oh, hi there. So, oh, it's awful dark here. Happy to give an update, but it's not much of an update. So at the last council meeting, we did not consider the recommendations. The standard process or procedure that the council has followed in the past and will probably continue to follow is to discuss new topics or ideas like this in a work session. And the work sessions are monthly meetings that are held roughly in between, in the middle of the time gap between the regular formal council meetings. So we're planning to talk about the SSC recommendations at the work session on June 15th.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if Robin has anything else to add.
Well, it's an open meeting, so I mean, you can listen in.
Yep.
And then Steve, does that mean then let's say you have that work session the 15th, and then this as a topic would be on the next official, so I guess the August meeting as a agenda item, or not necessarily?
July meeting.
So,
July meeting, sorry, yeah, thank you.
so if all works as I hope it does, the council will be able to come to consensus or relative agreement on a code change that a majority of the council could support, and that would be formally introduced at the council meeting in July. And then the way it works, any sort of building code changes, there has to be a 30-day wait to notify the county. So before the council votes on it, the council wouldn't actually vote on it until the August meeting.
Okay. All right, thank you. I don't know whether Julie want to do any mini review.
Yeah, very, very many. Our committee is little, which is Brian and myself, but it's a trees committee, but the trees aren't little, but we're little and mighty, something like that. The main thing we're going to be doing is coordinating with the Parks and Natural Resources Committee, which is of course a standing committee of the town. Currently, two things. One, and this might be a question, I guess, for Steve or Robin. Matt Trollinger said because of the many changes in this town council, there isn't currently a liaison designated for the Parks National Resources Committee, but I presume there will be. So I have not spoken to that person because I don't think that's the person's been named. And then the chair of the committee, for personal reasons, isn't very active right now. So Brian and I today spoke with the former chair, who's a current member, Patty Friedman, to hear about they've actually they're in the process of, they've drafted code changes. So the bottom line is that we're going to try to coordinate with them on any changes that they're proposing, make sure we're all both in sync and coordinating. And then, if there's anything we also want to recommend, we'd of course talk to them. So we definitely want to have everything very tick and tied, not, two different offshoots of, related trees. So that's the main message, I guess I'd like to say.
Great. Okay, thanks so much. Is there anything else? Anything that we didn't cover that anyone thinks we should cover before we say goodbye? Great. Okay.
Seems
Right.
like we've done it.
Might be a record. Okay, perfect. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. And I think you all have a lot of work ahead of you. And we will notify the town council as to the action we took with the language in the next couple days. So thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Have a good evening. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night.